that Rajya Sabha, 1 minute, give me a second. Okay, so Rajya Sabha, in Rajya Sabha there is no reservation of seats, reservation of seats for SC STs or OBCs. So there is no reservation policy available for in the case of Rajya Sabha membership. Rajya Sabha membership. Otherwise, you know that there are seats reserved for SC STs in Lok Sabha also, in legislative assemblies also, in, you can say, parliament, in Panchayati Raj institutions also, but there is no reservation of seats available for SC STs, either SC STs or OBCs in case of Rajya Sabha. So this is an important point that you should remember about Rajya Sabha. Now let's proceed further with our main topic, main discussion. That is, we were talking about qualification and disqualification of members of parliament. So let's proceed further and talk about some disqualification. So I have told earlier that there are several grounds of disqualification. So grounds of disqualification of grounds for disqualification. 1 minute. Grounds for disqualification of members of parliament, whether they may be from Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, or let me generalize this term. We can say that for of legislators. So any member, whether from Rajya Sabha, whether from Lok Sabha, whether from state legislative assembly, the provision is same. Though we are talking about Rajya Sabha, but the provision is same for disqualification of all the members. So we will, for the sake of convenience, I am generalizing this term, that here we are talking about grounds for disqualification of legislators. So what are the places where the grounds of disqualification are mentioned? First, some grounds of disqualification are mentioned in the constitution itself. Constitution. Some grounds are mentioned in the Representatives of the People's Act. Representatives of the People's Act 1951, and some other grounds are mentioned in anti-defection law. Defection law, or also called 52nd Amendment. 52nd Amendment, Constitutional Amendment Act, or also called 10th Schedule. By this amendment, 10th Schedule was added to the Constitution. 10th Schedule of Indian Constitution. So these are the three places where the grounds of disqualification for the members of, for the legislators are mentioned. So let's talk about all those grounds. What are those grounds that are mentioned under Constitution? What are those grounds of disqualification mentioned under Representatives of the People's Act? And what are those grounds that are mentioned in the anti-defection law and all these things? So first we will talk about the grounds mentioned in the Constitution. So grounds for disqualification. Grounds for disqualification of legislators legislators mentioned in the constitution. So let's talk about what are the grounds of disqualification mentioned in the constitution. So the first ground is change in the nature of citizenship. So if there is a change in the nature of citizenship, suppose Mr. X contested the election to a legislative assembly or a legislative council or Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and after getting elected, he was at the time when he contested the election, and when he was elected, he was citizen of India or she was citizen of India, but after the election, now he has acquired the citizenship of any other country, or he has lost his citizenship of Indian citizenship. So now he shall be disqualified. He shall be declared disqualified as per the provision of the constitution, or as per the first ground of disqualification under mentioned in the constitution. Second ground for disqualification is disqualified if a member is disqualified under any other law or statute. Any other law or statute. What do we mean by it? We mean by it that if a member, apart from the constitution, provisions mentioned in the constitution, if a member is disqualified under any other law or statute, whether this law may be of parliament, it may be a parliamentary law, that is a law passed by the parliament, or it may be a state legislative assembly law, It may be a parliamentary law or it may be a state law. If a person or a member or a legislator is disqualified by any other law, he can be disqualified. He shall be declared to be disqualified from his office. For example, let me give you some examples. For example, let me give you the example of Civil Rights Act 1955. Civil Rights Act 1955. Civil Rights Act 1955 was enacted to protect the members of SC/ST, that is depressed classes, from atrocities, from you can say all these things. And the Civil Rights Act, it prohibited untouchability, that is discrimination on the grounds of caste, that is untouchability and discrimination on the grounds of caste. So this Civil Rights Act banned or prohibited this untouchability. But suppose a member of parliament, despite the law prohibiting untouchability, if he practices untouchability, or if he justifies untouchability, then he can be disqualified. Even not only justified, even we can say that suppose if he prevents a member of depressed classes, that is SC/ST, depressed classes, from availing public services just because of his caste. If a legislator, he practices untouchability, and by practicing untouchability, what he does, he prevents a member of the depressed classes from availing public services. Availing public services. For example, suppose there is a public well, there is a public road, there is a public office, and he does not allow them to access that office to avail the services, then also he can be disqualified under Civil Rights Act 1955. Second, for example, second law, let me give the example of second law also. For example, there is a more stringent law called SC/ST, Prevention of Atrocities Act. Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. So this is the law, and as per this law, if someone, this also relates to prevention of atrocities against the depressed classes or SC/STs, or protection of their rights. So this is also related to the protection of their rights and prevention of atrocities against them. And suppose a legislator, what he does, despite this law prohibiting preaching untouchability, practicing untouchability, or you can say justifying untouchability, if he practices untouchability, if a legislator practices untouchability, if a legislator, you can say, justifies untouchability, he says that he does not practice, but he says that yes, this is an age-old tradition and all these things. So if he justifies untouchability, or he justifies, or if he preaches untouchability, that is, he says that untouchability is good, or this is an age-old tradition, so we should follow this, or we should, you can say, we should practice, we should have it in practice. So if he does all these things, if a legislator does all these things, so this will be considered to be violation of SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities and Protection of Depressed Classes Rights Act 1989, and he shall be disqualified. So this is the thing. For example, some other laws are there. Let me give you some other laws. For example, there is a law, Prevention of Corruption Act. Prevention of Corruption Act, POCA 2011. And under POCA, a person can be disqualified if he possesses disproportionate asset. Disproportionate asset, or if he indulges in corruption, and it is proved indulges in corruption. If a public officer, or if even a legislator also, if he indulges in corruption, then also he shall be disqualified. For example, let me give you an example. You know that there was a Mrs. J. Jayalalitha. She was the former chief minister of Tamil Nadu. Now she is deceased. Late Mrs. J. Jayalalitha. She has died now. So Mrs. J. Jayalalitha, when she was chief minister of Tamil Nadu, she was held, you can say, guilty for disproportionate asset. Disproportionate Jayalalitha, the former chief minister of Tamil Nadu. She held disproportionate asset, so she was disqualified, and she had to resign. At the same time, she was the chief minister, so she had to resign because she was disqualified from the membership of the Legislative Assembly. So she has to resign from the chief ministership. So this is an example. One more example let me give you. For example, you know that Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav, as soon as he was disqualified, as soon as he was indicted in fodder scam, and he was held guilty, and he was sentenced for prison, more than 2 years of prison. Then he was disqualified from the membership of the Bihar Legislative Assembly, and even he was at the time he was an MP, so he was disqualified from his post. So this is the thing, that under Prevention of Corruption Act also, if a person possesses disproportionate asset, that is an asset that is more than his known sources of income, and if he indulges in corruption, he can be the legislator. If he does both of these things, then that legislator can be disqualified from his office, from his seat, from his membership of the house. In the same way, there are some other provisions. For example, there is a Representatives of the People's Act. So let me talk about what are the grounds mentioned. This was the ground mentioned in the Constitution. Now let me talk about the ground of disqualification mentioned under Representatives of the People's Act. Grounds of one more ground under Constitution is mentioned. Okay, tell me which one is more ground mentioned in the Constitution for disqualification? What is the third ground mentioned in the Constitution for disqualification of members? What is the third ground of disqualification mentioned in the Constitution? We have talked about that. Tell me. Okay. One minute. Let me see it. No, not open ballot. It is the third ground of disqualification mentioned in the Constitution is the third ground that is of disqualification mentioned in the Constitution is office of profit. If he or she, the member, holds office of profit. Office of profit. Okay. So if he holds an office of profit, then also under the Constitution, the membership, his membership or her membership shall be seized. So this is the thing, office of profit. And in office of profit, we have talked about a lot that what do we mean by office of profit, what are the provisions with respect to office of profit, and what Supreme Court decided in the case of Mrs. Jaya Bachchan. So what Supreme Court decided in the case of Mrs. Jaya Bachchan. And one more very interesting case is that of Mr. G, that is Guru Govind Basu. One more case, let me tell you about office of profit, that is G Govind Basu versus Shankari Prasad Ghoshal. This is not Shankari Prasad case, this is Shankari Prasad Ghoshal case. This is another one. This is not the case of you can say fundamental right or basic structure. So Shankari Prasad Ghoshal case. So in this case, Supreme Court decided that, so let me write, in the case of G Govind Basu versus Shankari Prasad Ghoshal case. In this case, Supreme Court, what was this case? Let me give you the background of this case and then you can understand what was the thing. I told you that, what do you mean by office of profit? What is the meaning of office of profit? Let me reiterate it again. Office of profit. Any office shall be called to be office of profit if there is an office, it is an office. So if it is an office, then it may be office of profit. It is an office. An office means it has its own independent existence and its term or its existence does not depend upon its holder. So if it is an office, second, if it is created by the government, if this office has been created by the government, then it shall be considered for the office of profit provision. So whether central government or whether state government, does not matter. Whether central government or whether state government. Then third provision was that it should be an office of profit. it should be an office of profit. What do you mean by office of profit? That there should be some pecuniary benefit attached. Pecuniary benefit like salary, like allowances, like some other things, pensions. So if these are attached, like other allowances like cars and bungalows have been provided, then if these pecuniary benefits are attached with an office, then this office shall be considered an office of profit. So this was the thing. And fourth provision was that he or she holds that office, though there is an office, though it is created by the government, though it is an office of profit, but if the member does not hold that office, how he or she can be disqualified? So he should hold that office. If holds that office, then that member of parliament, that member of legislator can be disqualified. So here there is a term called it is created by the government. And the case of Guru Govind Basu versus Shankari Prasad Ghoshal was related to the second provision. What happened in this case? Let me tell you the background of this case. Mr. Govind Basu was appointed. Mr. Govind Basu was chairman of G. Basu and Company. And Mr. Basu was later elected a legislator. That is, he was elected an MP. But Supreme Court, then this his election was challenged in Supreme Court, that Mr. Govind Basu should be disqualified from his membership of the House because he holds an office of profit. The challenge was that Mr. Govind Basu, despite being the chairman of G. Basu and Company, he has now been elected, you can say, a legislator, an MP. So he holds an office of profit. So Mr. Basu should be disqualified. What do you think? Should Mr. Basu be disqualified or not? It is saying that Mr. Govind Basu was a chairman of Basu and Company, G. Basu and Company, and later he was elected a legislator, that is, he was elected an MP. So people said that Mr. Govind Basu should be disqualified from his office, his membership of the House, because he holds an office of profit, that is chairmanship of G. Basu and Company. So should Mr. Govind Basu be disqualified or not under office of profit? Not. Why not? Why Mr. Govind Basu, despite being the chairman of G. Basu and Company, should not be disqualified from parliament, membership of the parliament? Because this office was a private firm. This position, though it was an office, though it was an office of profit, that is some benefit were attached to it, because the company had given Mr. Basu a car, company had given Mr. Basu salary, was giving Mr. Basu salary and all these things. But though it was an office of profit, but this office was, but this office was not created by the government. This office was not created by the government, whether central government or whether state government, because this company, that is G. Basu and Company, was a private firm, was a private partnership firm. There were two partners, Mr. Govind Basu and Shankari Prasad Ghoshal. So these people were the member of that private firm. So this was the thing that why Mr. Govind Basu should not be disqualified. But Supreme Court said Mr. Govind Basu should be G. Basu should be disqualified. G. Basu should be disqualified. Why Supreme Court said? Let's talk about. Supreme Court disqualified Mr. Govind Basu of his membership of the parliament. How? Let's talk about. Because though this company was a private firm, but this company was an audit firm. Audit. It used to audit the books of other companies. It was an auditing firm, so it used to audit the books of the company. And this company audited the books of Durgapur Steel Corporation Limited. Steel Corporation Limited. And you know that this Durgapur Steel Corporation Limited is a government venture. It is a government undertaking. It is a government undertaking. And when this company, G. Basu and Company, whose chairman was Mr. Govind Basu, when it audited the books of Durgapur Steel Corporation Limited, it got some money. It got the remuneration, and due to this connection of this company with the Durgapur Steel Corporation Limited, that was a government firm, Mr. Govind Basu was disqualified from the membership of his house. So it is not always that only a government created firm will come under office of profit. Even a private firm, if a private firm is also related to any government undertaking or subsidiary, any other thing by financially, then also that holder of the office can be disqualified. So now I hope you understood this case. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing. So you should remember that in the constitution there are 3 grounds for disqualification of the members. First ground is that change in nature of citizenship. The second ground is disqualified under any other law made by the parliament or state legislature. And the third ground is office of profit. Now let's come to the grounds of disqualification mentioned in Representatives of the People's Act. Representatives of People's Act 1951. So what are the grounds mentioned in Representatives of the People's Act 1951 of disqualification of members? Let's talk about. First ground is adjudged insolvent. Adjudged insolvent. So if a person is adjudged insolvent, that is bankrupt. For example, you know that Vijay Mallya was declared bankrupt, and Mehul Choksi and Nirav Modi, all these people were declared themselves bankrupt, and then later they were declared insolvent. So those persons who have been declared insolvent or bankrupt shall be disqualified if they hold the membership of the house. Second, if he is not of sound mind, because how can we give them the work of legislation to a person who is not of sound mind? If he is mad, if he is lunatic, if he is unstable mind, we cannot give the function of making laws to a person who is not of stable mind or who is not of a sound mind. So if he is not of sound mind or she is not of sound mind, then also he or she can be disqualified from the membership of the house. Third reason or third ground, the third ground is third ground of disqualification is, 1 minute, give me a second. Section 8 clause subclause 3 of RPA 1951. So we will talk about section 8 clause 3 and section 8 clause 4, and there is a very interesting case about this this clause. And this clause Section 8 clause 3 and 8 clause 4 was very much in news in 2013, because this section 8 clause 4 was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. So we will talk about this. So these are the reasons of disqualification mentioned in the Representatives of the People's Act. So these are the things. Now let me go back a little and let me talk about one more thing about Office of Profit, because we are leaving that point, and that point is very much important. So let me take a new slide. One more thing about representatives of about Office of Profit is that one more provision is that there is an exception to Office of Profit. There is an exception, and this exception is very important. You know that Constitution provides that if a member of any house, if he holds an Office of Profit, he or she can be disqualified from the membership of the house, but there is an exception. And to make this exception understandable, let me give you example. You know that India follows parliamentary system of government or cabinet form of government. Cabinet form of government. We know that in Indian polity, we follow cabinet form of government. What do we mean by cabinet form of government? Tell me. What do we mean by cabinet form of government? No, not parliamentary form. Yes, we have parliamentary form, cabinet form, parliamentary form, all are the terminologies, same terminologies. But what is the actual meaning of cabinet form of government? The actual meaning of cabinet form of government is that executives are drawn from the legislature, This is the parliamentary form of, this is the cabinet form of government. So whenever we say that we follow cabinet form of government, the British model, it means that our executives also have been drawn from the legislature. What do you mean by executives are drawn from the legislature? It means that the executives are the members of executives are not only the members of executive, not only they are executive, they are even the member of the house also, member of legislature also. You know that all the members, all the ministers, they are the member of one or the other house, whether of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. In case of state governments, even the ministers, state ministers are also the minister of State Council of Ministers are also the member of one or the other house. So this is the thing, and this is the meaning of cabinet form of government. I hope now you understood what we mean by cabinet form of government. Cabinet form of government means executives are drawn from the legislature. It means that executives are the members of any house, either house of the legislature, whether at the central level, whether at the state level. Okay. And one more thing about this cabinet form of government is that though a person can be appointed as the minister if he is, even suppose Mr. X is neither a member of Lok Sabha, neither a member of Rajya Sabha, neither a member of, you can say, Legislative Assembly or Legislative Council. Can he be appointed as a minister? Can he be chosen as minister? Tell me. Mr. X, he is not the member of Lok Sabha, neither the member of Rajya Sabha, neither the member of Legislative Assembly, neither the member of Legislative Council. But can he be appointed as a minister by the president? Can he be appointed as minister? Tell me. Mr. X is neither a member of Lok Sabha, he is neither a member of Rajya Sabha, he is neither a member of Legislative Assembly and neither a member of Legislative Council. Can he be a minister or not? Can he be appointed a minister or not? No. Yeah, okay, you are saying yes. Yes, he can be appointed. Why he can be appointed? Because we know that he can be appointed, but within 6 months of his appointment as a minister, within 6 months of his appointment as a minister, 6 months of appointment as his minister, he has to take the membership of either of the house. He has to become the member of either of the house, any house, become the member. Otherwise, after the expiry of the 6 months, his membership or he shall be ceased to become a minister. He shall be disqualified to become a minister, and he will be removed from his office. So this is the thing. And why this? So where do this exception has been mentioned? Where do this exception has been mentioned that we follow the cabinet form of government and the executives are drawn from legislature? So who are this council of ministers? Who are this council of ministers? They are not only the ministers, they are also the members of the parliament also. Ministers as well as legislators also. So is it not violation of office of profit that a minister is also a legislator? So how he can be, as a minister he is the member of executive, and as a legislator he is the member of legislature. So is it not the violation of office of profit? Is it not the condition of office of profit, and should this minister not be disqualified under this law? Yes, he should be disqualified. But what if there is an exception? And what is the exception? The exception has been provided by a law made by the parliament, and this the name of this law is Parliament Prevention of Parliament. There is a law called Parliament Prevention of Disqualification. Prevention of Disqualification. Disqualification Act 1959. So let me take a new slide. So this law, that is prevention of okay, कोई बात नहीं.